What's up guys, Merciless Vaughn here, back with another video. In this video I'm going to be showing my Magicka Dragonknight solo build. Hopefully you guys enjoy. If you do, please leave a like. If you're new to the channel or you've been here for a while, please consider subscribing. And if you want to know when I upload again, all you gotta do is just turn on the notification bell. And also, real quick, just help me get to 50 subscribers. I'm really close. But anyways, let's just go ahead and get started. First things first, starting off with the character sheets. As you can see, the attributes, I have 29.4k Magicka, 21k health, 12k stamina, 3115 spell damage, 59.7 spell critical, 74 spell penetration, and I have 1176 Magicka recovery. Here are the advanced stats if you guys care about that. And I am also using the Shadow Monostone, which increases my critical damage. And as for the gear, I am going to be using False Gods. This is a trial set that you get from Sunspire. And as you can see, 2 pieces gives you spell critical, 3 pieces gives you minor slayer, which increases your damage done to dungeon, trial, and arena monsters. 4 pieces gives you more spell critical, and the 5 pieces reduces the cost of your Magicka abilities, and when an enemy dies, you restore Magicka and you gain Major Expedition, which increases your movement speed. I am also running a 1-piece slime crawl for the crit, and because I'm running a 1-piece monster set, I have Ring of the Pale Order, which restores 20% of damage you deal as health. And I'm also running Mother Sorrows on the jewelry and weapon. And Mother Sorrows just gives you 2 pieces, gives you maximum Magicka, and the rest of the pieces gives you a lot of spell critical. And as for the trait, I'm using the Precise trait, which increases your spell critical rating by 7.2%. And enchant doesn't really matter, you can use whatever enchant you want. I just have an Exort Magicka enchant. And my back bar weapon is a Maelstrom Perfected Inferno Staff. If you can get the Perfected Maelstrom Staff, that's fine. The imperfected one works as well. You just want to make sure that you have the second bonus. Your light and heavy attacks deal bonus damage to enemies inside your wall of elements. That's what you really want. The spell penetration is nice, but you really don't have to worry about that. The trait I'm using is Infuse, and the enchant I am using is a weapon damage enchant. As for the body pieces, they are all max Magicka enchants with divines. And for the jewelry, I am using a spell damage enchant with Bloodthirsty trait. And if you really can't get False Gods, which is a trial set and also a DLC trial set at that, you can also go with Burning Spellweave. Burning Spellweave is really good. It drops in City of Ash 1 and 2. As you can see, Burning Spellweave, 2 pieces gives you Magicka, 3 pieces spell damage, 4 pieces spell critical. And the 5th one, when you deal damage with the flame ability, which is mostly all our abilities, you gain the burning status effect to enemies, which increases your spell damage for 8 seconds. And that effect occurs every 12 seconds. So yeah, if you really don't want False Gods or you can't get it, then you can just use Burning Spellweave instead. And if you don't have Ring the Pale Order, that's fine. You can just take that off and put on another Mother Sorrow ring. I don't have one. I don't have an extra one right now. So yeah, you just take that off and then you put whatever monster set you want to use. If you want a monster set that helps you out with survivability, Ice Heart is good. When you deal critical damage, it gives you a damage shield, and also the 1-piece bonus gives you spell critical, which is really good. And this isn't a DLC. Monster Helm is just a regular base game dungeon. But if you want to run something else that will give you more damage, you can use Zons. When you do damage with a lot of heavy attack, you have a 33% chance to create a beam of fire that connects to your target. And this is really good, and it scales off your spell damage. And that's pretty much it for the gear. I think I covered everything. So now I'm just going to go ahead and go to the skills. Alright, starting off with the front bar, I have Engulfing Flames. It deals instant flame damage, and then it deals flame damage over time for 14 seconds. Then it also affected enemies take more damage from all flame damage attacks based on your offensive stats, with a maximum of 10% bonus damage taken. Right now the current value is 8. And then Burning Embers, slash an enemy dealing flame damage and then additional flame damage over time. Heals you for 75% of the total damage inflicted when the effect ends. Enemies hit by the initial hit are afflicted with burning status effect. I'm going to skip this one because I want to talk about Categorize real quick. Categorize activates an aura of flames which launches a fireball at yourself, since we're solo, so it won't be going to anybody else. And healing every 5 seconds. When slotted, we gain Major Prophecy, which increases our spell critical rating. And this ability scales off our highest offensive stat. Also, here I have Consuming Trap. This build doesn't have very good sustain, so I just have this right here. Even with False God, we get Magicka for killing an enemy, but with this, we'll just get even more Magicka. We'll get resources back. And it deals a decent amount of magic damage over time. And now Molten Whip. The reason I saved this for last is because mostly with this, while slotted, whenever you activate a different Adrian Flame ability, you gain a stack of Seething Fury, which increases the damage of your next Molten Whip by 33% and your weapon and spell damage by 75 for 5 seconds. This effect can stack up to 3 times. So basically, and this is why I have 3 different abilities from this tree right here, just to buff Molten Whip. So really you want to use Engulfing Flames, Burning Embers, Categorize, and then use the Molten Whip for that extra damage. And that's really why you want to. And this is also a spammable. Now, if you want to, you really could just spam this since it heals you. You can use this 3 times, then come back to here and just use Molten Whip again. Or if you want, you can do something like this. This is just really a pull ability. You pull the target near you, increasing your movement speed. But really what you want is if the target cannot be pulled, then you restore 100% of the ability's Magicka cost. So really you pull a target. If they don't come to you, then you just refund that Magicka. You can do this 3 times to get the Molten Whip bonus damage. And then you just use that. You can use this as a spammable as well, just to get the Molten Whip bonus. Or if not, you can just go ahead and put Consuming Trap back here. Then you can just have the Molten Whip spammable. Me personally, when I'm in groups, I do something like that. I just put that there, but when I'm soloing, I just have this here, and then I just have Molten Whip as my spammable. And the ultimate I'm using, Standard of Might. Basically, you just call down this banner that deals flame damage, and then when standing in this area, you increase your damage done and reduce the damage taken by 15%. Alright, starting off with the back bar, we have our best friend, Elemental Drain. Well, you've seen this on plenty of other builds, but just in case you don't know what it is, you basically activate this and apply Major Breach for 23 seconds, which reduces the target's resistances, and also applies Minor Magicka Steal for 23 seconds. When you cause damage to that target, you restore Magicka every second with damaging them. Here, Igneous Weapons. This is just basically, this just gives you Major Sorcery, which increases your spell damage by 20% for 54 seconds. Which is really good. That's almost a minute of extra spell damage. And then here I have Harness Magicka. This is just basically our shield. So yeah. And while this is active, whenever the shield absorbs damage, you restore Magicka. Each piece of light armor of 1 increases the Magicka restored by 33%. This effect can occur up to 3 times. So yeah, since I'm basically mostly wearing light armor, this is really good to have. Here I have Eruption. This is just basically another damage over time ability. It deals initial flame damage and then it deals some damage over time. And then here, Unstable Wall of Fire, another ability that won't go away if you're Magicka DPS. This is just a damage over time ability. Burning enemies take 20% more damage from this ability. And then when the effect ends, it explodes. And since this is the Maelstrom staff, our light and heavy attacks will do more damage to enemies inside here. And here I have the Destruction Staff Ultimate Flame Storm. This is just the unmorphed version of it. Really, if you want, I always say this, you can just go with Shooting Star. You can put that here, then just put Standard of Might on the back bar. And then because you put Meteor here, you get this. Increases your max Magicka recovery by 1 second for each Mage's Guild ability slotted. So if your Mage's Guild is high enough and you have Meteor unlocked, you can just put this on your front bar, take advantage of this passive, and then you can just put Standard of Might on the back bar and just use that. Or if you don't want to do that, then you can just still keep this here. Since this is an Adric Flame ability, this counts as giving the Molten Whip its buff. So even if you don't activate one of, well, you'll want to activate these for your damage, and if you don't activate this, you have your ultimate and you use this, that'll still give it one of its stacks. So you can just use these and then use this one, and then that will give you a third one, and then Molten Whip, and then you can just go ahead and spam it. Passives, I don't really talk about passives, so I'll just briefly hover over the passives that I have. Here I only have these two. I have these. I have all the Destruction Staff passives. I have all the Light Armor passives. Fighter's Guild, I have Intimidating Presence, that's just really for dialogue, really don't need that. And then here, when my Father's Guild levels up, I'll plan on getting this. You generate ultimate whenever you get a kill. This maxes out at 3. If my Mage's Guild was higher, I would have this here, and I probably would have Meteor or Shooting Star with the morph on my front bar and just take advantage of this passive. My Unsalted level is not high enough, but I will be getting these passives when it is. These are really good. And as for the Assault, here, this really isn't all that important. This is just for mount speed increase. And then since I am a high elf on this build, so I have all my passives. And that's pretty much it. So I guess now can go ahead and talk about champion points. At the making of this video, I currently have 1083 champion points. And really just go over it real quick. This tree, starting off with the green one, you really won't need anything here except for Steadfast Enchant and Rationer. Mostly Rationer because this has 10 minutes to the duration of any food or drink that increases your character stats per stage. So this maxes out at 30, you get 30 extra minutes on whatever food or drink you use, which is good. And Steadfast Enchant, your weapon enchants have a 10% chance not to consume a charge. Your enchants on your weapons last longer with this. And that's pretty much it for the green tree. Everything else is just personal preference. I'll just quickly hover over the ones that I have. And that's it for the green tree. Alright, as for the blue tree, what I have is 20 in precision. Well, I have Eldritch Insight maxed out. I have Fighting Finesse maxed out. Going to the elbow, I have Piercing maxed out. Flawless Ritual maxed out. War Mage. I have Deadly Aim. Thaumaturge. Biting Aura. And then I have Untamed Aggression. As for the red tree, really the only thing I'll say you'll need out of here is Siphoning Spells. You restore Magicka whenever you kill an enemy with False Gods, and this you're getting a lot of Magicka back. Also, even more if you have Consumed Trap on your bar. And also Hero's Vigor, which increases your max health per stage. Quickly hover over what I have. And that's what I have my champion point set up. If you have more, then you can obviously put more points into whatever you want. If you have less, then you really can't get everything. If you don't have a lot of champion points, you just want to put the bare minimum in all of these points until you get this maxed out. Then you really want to get this first. Then you can get this if you want. If you want Magicka, you can get this. You can just put the bare minimum in here and then just start getting these. And then once you have these, then you can just put your points into everything else. And that's pretty much it for champion points. Alright, and to talk about the food and potions that I use for this build, I switched to my crafter. And really the best in slot that will always and forever be until something replaces it, Clockwork Citrus. Increases your max health and max magicka, and also gives you health recovery and magicka recovery. This really is the best in slot food that you can have for magicka DPS. If you can't make this or it's too expensive, you can always go with Witchmother's Potent Brew. It gives you max health, max magicka, and it only gives you maximum magicka recovery. It does not give you health recovery like Clockwork Citrus. And if you can't get this, then you can always go with the Greasely Eyeball food. It gives you max magicka and it gives you magicka recovery. It doesn't give you increased health or health recovery. And that's pretty much it for the food choices. And as for the potions to use, the best in slot potions are going to be the essence of spell power potions. How you make those, you use this flower, use this one, and you use this one. Essence of spell power gives you major sorcery, which increases your spell damage. Major prophecy increases your spell critical rating. You restore magicka, and you gain major intellect, which increases your magicka recovery. And another potion that you can use is the essence of spell critical. It gives us the major prophecy, and we still restore magicka and gain major intellect. Since we already have an ability that gives us major sorcery, we really don't need the essence of spell power potions, so the essence of spell critical potions will work just fine. Alright, that pretty much covers everything about this build. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about the build, just use the comment section and I'll be sure to answer any questions that I can. Hopefully you enjoyed, and as usual, until next time.